What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, August the 30th, and that means it's time for my news radar. So I'm sure all of you can remember fondly, like it was yesterday, when Windows 11 was fresh and new and was just now beginning to make the rounds, and everybody was quite excited about it until it became clear that not every computer, not everyone would be able to update to Windows 11. In fact, that there were many restrictions to who would be able to install Windows 11 on their PC over the next coming months, days, years. I did that in a weird order. Well, we've got an update here about exactly who will be able to download and install Windows 11 with a pretty big caveat. So this news article here comes from The Verge. Microsoft won't stop you installing Windows 11 on older PCs. And you can tell this is written by a British person because people in America would say stop you from installing. Thanks for the article, Tom Warren. And basically what this article goes on to say, and it's a good article, I'll link to it in the description so that you can read all the text on your own by yourself. But basically what they're going to do is, if your computer is not actually compatible, quote unquote, compatible with Windows 11, you're still going to be able to go download the ISO, the disk image, put it on a USB or burn it to a CD if you live in 2002, and install it on your computer just the same. It may not run super well. It may have a higher percentage rate of crashing than Microsoft would like for you to have in your Windows experience, but nonetheless, you're going to be able to do this anyways. That sounds great, right? Sounds like we've circumvented the restriction that Microsoft said they were going to put on these things, right? Well, there is a pretty big caveat to that. And they've updated their article with a very brief sentence that says this, but basically this is the important bit here. Windows 11 updates may be in jeopardy if you take the ISO install method with a PC that doesn't meet the company's system requirements. So if your computer, if you go to Windows Update and you try to update and it says, sorry, no Windows 11 here for you, and maybe you've even used their new updated PC Health Check app and it says, no, you cannot run Windows 11, and you say, I don't care, you download the ISO, you burn it on a CD circa 2002, you install it on your computer, well, you may not get Windows updates at that point, which means that, maybe ever so often you're going to have to go burn another CD and update that way because you're not going to get your updates through Windows Update itself. And that's a pretty big bummer for a lot of people. Now, granted, once Windows 11 is really matured, maybe you don't care about security. Maybe you could do it then, but still, that's a pretty big oversight. And I think it's something that some people will take advantage of, but largely people just aren't, and I think that's what Microsoft wants. I think that they don't want to burn too many bridges, they don't want to piss off too many of their power users, but they do want to pretty heavily encourage you to go buy a new PC running Windows 11. So you'll be able to run Windows 11 almost certainly, but maybe you won't want to on your older computer. But speaking of running Windows 11 on older hardware that shouldn't be running Windows 11, here's an article from MS Power User where someone has Windows 11 running quite well on the Xiaomi Mi 8, which does look like an iPhone 10. And as you can see here, you have a picture of a Xiaomi Mi 8 running Windows 11. This kind of reminds me of the Sony Vaio P, which was this really weird laptop with the strangest aspect ratio you've ever seen on any sort of device. And you're kind of getting the same aspect ratio here on this Mi 8. But what they're saying here is that continued updates have now got the GPU working, power management, Wi-Fi, and some other features now functioning pretty well on this phone running Windows 11. Got to look here at the file manager working, task manager working, watching a video probably on Baidu because this is clearly coming from China, where a lot of strange things like this do take place. And there is a video posted here of how well this is actually running. Again, link to this will be in the description if you want to check this out yourself. And I know what a lot of you guys and gals are immediately going to be thinking, oh my God, it's working on an old Xiaomi Mi 8 phone. Can it work on the Surface Duo? And I don't know, look, maybe some enterprising hacker can make this work on Surface Duo as well. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, and there's mixed feelings about it. Some of you are like, yes, do this now. And some of you who are more like me are like, why would I want this? I don't understand. I would still do it. Like, I would still want to look at it and try it just because it just looks insane and I would want to try it. But would I want to daily drive it? No, absolutely no, I would not. But maybe once Surface Duo 2 is in my hand, in my pocket with my SIM in there, maybe my old Surface Duo, maybe that'd be a fun thing to do with it. So hackers out there, what are you doing? Let's get to work. And as I did just mention, Surface Duo 2, that means I have now summoned via magic Surface Duo 2 news. That's not true. I'm just going to talk about something that was talked about in the latest Windows Central podcast. It's a rather long podcast. It's about 2 hours long, this last episode. But I watched it, and I found the Surface Duo 2 bits, and I pulled them out, and I'm going to talk about them so that you know what they said. And if you want to see this more quickly, follow me on Twitter, because this is where I do this sort of thing. Here are the little tidbits that they talked about in this Windows Central podcast. Again, Daniel Rubino, Zach Bowden, who knows, not me. But at any rate, these two should know what they're talking about. So they speculated that Duo 2 is likely to get its own launch event, because the launch event that's actually coming up in the October-ish region will be focused on Windows devices. So Zach speculates that since this is an Android device and this is sort of its own thing, they might give it its own little launch event, which personally I would prefer to see because it needs to get more limelight. If Duo 2 has truly been improved as much as it might have been improved, they really need to get out front and give it its own event to really show everybody how much better this thing might be. The Geekbench specs, which I've talked about ad nauseum already, are real. Snapdragon 888, 8 gigs of RAM, Android 11. I've got a video out about 8 gigs of RAM on Duo 2. Maybe check that out if that seems like that might be a problem to you. Spoiler alert, it probably isn't. Launch is coming soon. Zach actually said that, potentially the end of September might be a great birthday present for me once again, with a shipment coming in early October. Duo 2 is effectively done, which means that production is pretty much ready to happen. If it's not already started, it's there, it's ready to go. The software, so the actual Android 11 build that Duo 2 will ship with, is also complete. It is done. It is ready to go. We are now just in this holding pattern where we are waiting on something here to happen. They also did say that the screens no longer have rounded corners. Now, we've talked about in the past that apparently most of the later builds of the hardware did have rounded corners in the screen. Well, now they are squared off again, just like on the original Surface Duo. That's kind of strange, but whatever. They did mention the Surface Duo 1 might get Android 11 and a brand new Microsoft Launcher experience at the same time as we're going to get the Duo 2 announcement to bring some feature parity. What they're basically talking about here is that on every other device, if you install the Microsoft Launcher, there's a whole slew of features, like custom icons, for instance, is one that I want, that we don't have on Duo, which is insane to me because Duo is a Microsoft device, yet their own launcher is missing features on their own device. I don't understand. But apparently that's going to get fixed, and it might happen at the launch of Duo 2, just sort of refresh Duo, but then here's Duo 2, which is going to be way, way better. But they did also mention that one big thing has not leaked yet, and they talked about how this one big thing was related to the screens on Surface Duo. And we already know a lot about the screens on Surface Duo. They're going to shrink the bezels a bit so that the screens will be taller. They won't get narrower, but they will get taller. So the bezels will be smaller. We know that they're going to be either 90 hertz or 120 hertz. They are high refresh rate. But we don't know one more thing about the screens. But it's apparently something that was criticized, that the Duo was criticized for in the past. So there's a lot of speculation going on. I want you to speculate away in the comments down below. I actually did a YouTube community post where I asked everyone to make their own speculation. And I also tweeted this as well. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Not because I can't think of any ideas myself, but because I'm just curious. I'm curious what you guys might come up with, because you guys never fail to surprise me with some of your ideas. And I would just love to hear what y'all think. Personally, my thought is that since Duo was criticized for having that big gap in the middle when you're spanning something, that perhaps they're going to curve the screen in the hinge region to sort of get closer to that. If you bring them together, maybe they can even do better than that. But basically to make that gap less noticeable if they literally curve the screen around the hinge. Now, granted, they can't go too far because then you would have screen back here exposed, and that might be a really bad idea. This may be totally wrong. This is something that I have heard nothing about. I've heard confirmation about everything I tell you I'm sure about. It's because I'm sure about it. This I've heard nothing about. I don't know what this is. So that's my idea. Please share yours in the comments down below. Guys, that's all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday and Friday for the next news radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.